Professor Dr. Suresh Govind to conduct the next session. Thank you, sir.
Bhagavan, Swami, respected elders, beloved brothers and sisters, this is a panel session. This is a panel session, and therefore we like to invite our two guest speakers from India, Brother Nimish, the Kamala, to sit on the chair.
Yes.
We can have some music at this juncture. Brother Nimish has to decide which chair you are going to sit on. Only then he will sit with you. Yes, powerful. So all this human value. Okay. So this is like this. Have you seen this coffee with currant kind of thing? They actually copy from us. Anyway, we give them the credit. Okay, so this session is about, because you have been here for the last 2 days, 3 days, you have seen so many things that is happening, you have attended the workshops, and this is just a 45 minutes to 50 minutes culmination of the experiences that you have culled from the lives of what you see, and perhaps you can add on something else from your own experiences in India. So, basically, the first question would be, what is your general impression, Sister Kamala?
Om Shri Sai Ram. I thought I could give a good impression. Om Shri Sai Ram. During the last 3 days, it's been an eye-opener for both of us, in the sense that so many ladies and gents have left everything and come for 3 days, 4 days, in fact worked for weeks before to make this convention a grand success. What impressed me most was the happy, smiling faces at a convention. You know, usually in the Sai family you see people with very long faces. I had a student in my class, and a very naughty child. I asked him, he came from another class to my class, so I asked him, what's your name? He said, my name is Sairam Dondu. Quite surprised, what do you mean by Sairam Dondu? In Maharashtra, in India, in Bombay especially, a person who's an idiot is called a Dondu. I was wondering why he's saying Sairam Dondu. I said, how come your parents have named you like this? He says, Auntie, my parents have not named me like this. Whenever I come to the Sai center, all the uncles and aunties say, don't do this, Sairam, don't do this, Sairam, don't do this, Sairam, don't do. And that's how I call myself Sairam Dondu. So dear brothers and sisters, very happy to see not long faces, smiling, happy, contented faces. The first step to spirituality is being a happy person. We did in the last workshop the importance of positivity, and this is what I see.
If you want to see long faces and sad faces, you'll have to wait for another 2 hours. When they're returning back, everybody will be very sad. Because you know why? They'll be thinking about when to come back the next time. This is our sincere hope anyway. So what do you think, Brother Nimish?
Like a good husband, I will echo my wife's sentiments.
What are you allowed to say?
Let me share this one thing in Prashanthi Nilayam, very subtly and without being overt about it. There is a underlying club which is called the Obedient Husbands Club. And one of the chairperson of this club is one of the biggest Sevadal in charge in Prashanthi Nilayam, who seems to be behaves like a lion, but actually he is the first chairman of the Obedient Husbands Club there. And I'm slowly trying to engage the membership of the Central Trust members also in that, in Prashant Nilayam, and all my state presidents, who very coolly and quietly admit that yes, they're all members of the Obedient Husbands Club. Apart from this, I must confess that yes, it's been a very pleasant experience being with you, and I must congratulate all of you for this really successful convention, which is amazing. And as I was telling Brother Suresh also, that I do wish that I carry back some of the beautiful things that you've done in this convention back home and share it with my states and my state presidents and the country of India. I would definitely reiterate, the yearning to know is an amazing fact that I have seen amongst all of you, and especially amongst the youth. The yearning to know, the yearning to understand is a very great quality for a spiritual life to begin on a spiritual path. Because the yearning is important. The yearning to know what is right, what is wrong, the yearning to understand and experience what is right and wrong is an amazing story. And I think just sitting in one of the workshops, which was on the basis of knowing the difference between the inner voice and the prompting of the mind, I think was a beautiful session. And I wish we can develop more on this and make it a part of the Sai organization all over the world. And I would definitely take it back to India. Because that's where, in my opinion, the crux of spirituality lies. When I came to Bhagwan first, I was really not interested in spirituality or religion or rituals or anything of that sort. I was very impressed when Bhagwan made things very simple. And in that discourse, when he mentioned that the whole saga of life on a second-to-second basis is this war that a man has to win between his mind and his conscience. And if that war is won, then you are the king. Then you can really reflect yourself as God. You can really reflect yourself as a divinity within yourself. And this has been a challenge for me throughout my youth, throughout my middle age, and as I grow and go beyond as an earmarked as a senior citizen this year. I do believe that this has been the most pleasant journey of inquiry between what is the prompting of the conscience and what is the command of the mind. And winning this war has been my greatest pleasurable experience as far as I have been able to do so far in my life. I had a very interesting session when I was attending the first session, and the question came, how do you know that it is a prompting of the mind or it's the voice of the conscience? And I remember I had a session with Brother Indulal Shah, and he gave me a beautiful answer which I shared with the session. He says the test is very difficult to make out whether it's the mind talking to you or the conscience talking to you. And he says it can only come after a fair amount of time of practice that you can make this out. But one of the tests of evaluating whether you listen to your mind or you listen to your conscience is the net result of that action. You must watch the net result of that action. If that action has granted peace to you, if that action has granted happiness to you, then you can safely surmise that you have listened to the voice of your conscience. And if that action does not bring you peace or does not bring you happiness, then you can safely surmise that there was a mistake on your part. It was not the conscience, but it was the mind. And Indubai explained to me very well that the definition of peace in a human system is the rhythmic breath. Your breath, as long as that breath is in rhythm, you will experience peace. And the moment you realize you don't have peace, you will find the indicator is that your breath is not in rhythm. And therefore, he used to always, if you read the book We Devotees and the 16 Spiritual Summers that Indubai has written, there is one thing that Swami told him directly. He says, Soham, on a day-to-day basis, wherever you are, in the kitchen, in the office, in the college, in the school, in the court, wherever you may be, moment you have your mind going haywire, go back on the practice of Soham, and as you move your breath in rhythm, you will be in sync with Bhagwan inside you. And I think that was the session which I really enjoyed myself. That should be a good thing to learn, which I learned from Indubai, and I thought I'd share it with that group, and I did share it, and I hope it works better on our path of evolution as we go to determine whether it is the mind or the conscience. This only comes from practice. Nobody can teach you, nobody can instruct you, you cannot read books on this. You have to practice on the touchstone of peace and a rhythmic breath. I think that's where it comes.
Thank you. So from your whole on Friday and Saturday, on Friday, we heard these two aspects, and at least we captured. I think the most important thing is for all of us to consistently get connected to Bhagavan. So in your speech, Sister Kamala, that which came out very strongly was the aspect of devotion. And in fact, you demonstrated that by just by recollecting an incident, and you were able to become connected. So the point is, how do you remain connected? This is the problem, because when you return back, there are 1,000 commitments to take our commitment away. Decide.
It's very simple. To remain connected, I keep talking to Swami. I have a picture in my bedroom, which I call my talking picture. It's just like talking to a friend. If I have Saras with me, I will talk to her. If I have Kala with me, I talk to her. So if I have a friend, I will talk. So whenever I'm lonely, in fact, I like to be alone nowadays. My entire nature has changed. I was very extroverted. But now I like to be alone, so I can spend time with my Swami. And I sit in a quiet corner in my bedroom and talk to my picture, just facing my bed. So even in the horizontal position, as Brother Vijay said, I enjoy talking to Swami. And this helps me to be connected, because immediately I don't know whether I'm imagining, but I believe that Swami is responding to me. Because talking is praying. Explain to our children, talking is praying. So if I am communicating with God, He has to respond. So that's why in the workshop that we had this morning, I insisted that if you want the inner voice to be heard, in fact I have a very strong thing. I can tell beforehand what is happening, to such an extent that I get scared that if I thought this would happen. So I have this feeling that I must. Is not coming clear? Is it clear now?
Yeah.
So it's necessary, therefore, that we pray and meditate. Because it should be a two-way traffic with God. Just being connected is not important. It's necessary that we connect and He also connects to us. It's like sometimes in mobile, you are talking, you can hear the other person, but the other person can't hear you. And then you say, can you go to a better place where you get better connectivity? So this better connectivity is prayer and meditation. And that must be a daily habit. You have to talk to God and then wait for Him to talk back to you.
Is it something to do with your photograph? Maybe that photograph is something special?
No, I've changed the photograph many times. It's only Swami. I mean, any form of Swami, anywhere, I can talk to Him. But there are certain scenes of Bhagavan I always keep in my mind, and there are certain pictures that come to me immediately. So I connect with Swami after that feeling. It's not that because He's no more I can't connect. I feel that now he's working double time, because otherwise I would run for the physical form, but now this and comes running to our bedroom and talks to us.
So is it possible, I just want quickly, because before you lose that stuff, right? Is it possible that sometimes when the voices you are hearing, sometimes it is not, because you can see some suggestions coming to you totally not from your intellect, and it's something totally maybe ridiculous, and yet you have to follow that and get the results. Is that what you experienced?
Yeah, it happened like that. You see, a few years ago, Nimish had a problem with some members of the organization, and it affected him because he's a very sensitive person. It affected him so badly that he had ulcers also, and he was bleeding. So I again started talking to Swami. We don't hurt people, then why should anybody hurt us? That's what I kept telling Swami. And then I just got a message, pray for that person who's hurting. So I started a jump. 108 times every day, God give him such buddhi, God give him such buddhi, mentioning the name of the person. You won't believe it. Within 2 months we went to Puttaparthi. In one of the discourses, openly Swami said, whenever anybody troubles you, pray for him, ask for his such buddhi. So God gives you that prompting if you surrender to Him, and that's necessary through prayer and.
Very good. Is that your experience?
I think that was the part of the second workshop that we spoke about, reflection, reaction and resound, that we spoke about. It is the positivity that you put, because definitely whatever comes to you in life is your own doing. You are responsible for what comes to you. And I think contributing positivity back is a very good part of sadhana that we must do. I think that's where the point comes that in our day-to-day life, never hurt anybody, never get angry with anybody, never get displeased with anybody, because it is only reflection, reaction, resound comes back. I was just talking to Brother Suresh also, that just last month, when I was sitting with Brother Indulal Shah, I was going through all his old pictures with Swami and everything, and then suddenly in the album there was a letter which Swami had written to his daughter when she was only 12 years old. And Swami clearly mentions, "Dear Darshana, you're a small baby, but as you grow up, you'll realize that Swami is nothing but a reflection of what you are. And therefore, it's nothing but reflection, reaction. The whole principle of Swami is nothing but our own reflection. The more we are positive, the more we are at peace, the more we are happy, that's how Swami comes back to us. We may draw inspiration from him, but we must reflect back. Therefore, for all else in society, I think the first decision we should take, if we haven't already taken, is to henceforth be totally positive. Because even in the ancient Indian Sanatana Dharma, it is said, "Yad bhavam tad bhavati." As you think, so you are. God, if you think, God you are. Dust, if you think, dust you are. Verily, as you think, so you are, is the entire basis of the spiritual knowledge that Bhagavan gave us. And therefore, our thought is the most important thing. And our thoughts is there. And therefore, yesterday I mentioned the youth also, Suresh, that the greatest investment or the greatest adventure for the ephemeral time of youth, which we call, is to invest in good thoughts. Because good thoughts are the basis of good action. And if you don't invest in good thoughts in youth, moment you cross 30, 40 or 40, 45, it is very difficult to control the mind. The golden age to control and conquer the mind is the youth. And that's the time when Swami is to promote that the greatest adventure that the youth should embark upon is to conquer the mind with good thoughts. I think that was it.
So brother, sister, you see, you talked about the connectivity, which is basically coming from a devotion, and then you get plugged. Now, Brother Nimish, you spoke in yesterday's session, which was my day before yesterday's session, which was the most powerful one, which is when you can get unplugged. The one is to plug in, the other is to unplug. Interestingly enough, both begins with D. One is devotion, the other is the doership. And you explained that extremely well when you sat in front of Swami and that particular thing. So that the story keeps on going in my mind, because I think this is the two, literally the two most important points. One to plug in and one knowing when, how an unplugging can take place and to quickly plugging back. So this doership, can you explain that aspect of it properly? Because you know why? I think many people, in fact this is something interesting. We recently was interviewed in the radio side just about last Friday, Thursday. And when they interviewed me, they asked me, what about the subject of ego? When you do these big programs and great programs, doesn't ego come into play? So I explained, when you do nothing great, there's nothing to be proud about. You know, when you do something fantastic, that is when your ego will go and make a claim. To stand apart and to remain humble at the same time is sadhana in action. Now that's exactly what you did, something amazing, and God made you connect back. Now I think you need to really emphasize that point.
I think, yeah, that's where the whole test lies. I mean, you study to give an exam and to pass, okay? So sadhana is a study, but at every moment, here the exam doesn't come every 6 months or every 1 year. Here, as you are on the path of sadhana, the exam comes every second. So before you study, the exam comes. Before you study, the exam comes. So you have to be on high alert at all times. So a spiritualist is always on high alert at all times. Because the war between the mind and the conscience is not an easy war. It is more dangerous than the greatest of wars that mankind has seen on the physical level. Because this is subtle. It's very subtle. You can never make out when the mind conquers you and when the conscience is. So the ability is like the Wi-Fi connection. You never know when it is on and when it is not on. It's only when your computer just shuts down or you don't get or the block comes up, you are disconnected. That's when you know. Now what is in sadhana, when does that block come of disconnection? When do you know that you are disconnected is a very important question, you see. Because on a day-to-day basis, ego is very natural to human being. Because if you go a little higher, the very fact that we are born, ego is a part of our system. It's a package deal which we come with. And to shun this package on a day-to-day basis, on a second-to-second basis, is a very difficult thing. Therefore, as Kamala mentioned, I think prayer and meditation are two ways to ensure that your Wi-Fi connectivity is at its highest speed and in a continuous manner. What happens is that when you lose it, when you lose it when your awareness of it becomes less, as I said, and that comes from practice. I mean, I analyzed my failure in front of Bhagwan because probably I was not practicing enough to remind myself every second that the sense of doership is something, because it becomes lip service. All of us pay lip service. No, thanks to Swami. Swami is great, Swami did it. But ultimately it is we want to believe that we've done it. For example, if I have to sit on this stage and I'm discussing this with you just now, and despite everything that is said about me, as I go down and somebody criticizes me, that no, Nimish, sir, you said this, I don't believe it, you are very wrong. Or behind my back I come to know that somebody has said that no, Nimish was okay, he wasn't very great. And when I come to me, what happens to me at that point of time is a very important issue. Therefore, the connectivity issue also, Suresh, is reflected in the breath. Okay, the continuity of the breath to be in rhythm throughout the 24 hours of the day, according to me, is the test when you come to know whether you are connected or not connected. Because the moment you have ego, your breath is bound to go out of rhythm. For example, if somebody praises me just now that Nimish, you spoke very well, fantastic, then my heartbeat goes higher because that sense of excitement is there. Suppose somebody criticizes me, then I have the depression part which again slows down my breath rhythm completely. So if you are a practitioner of Soham and you are conscious of the fact that your morning to night must always be on a rhythmic breath pattern, it's like you go to the hospital when you're in the ICU, they put you on a machine and the machine indicates whether you are in good health or not. So now instead of the machine, you have to watch your own breath, you have to monitor your own breath and its rhythm throughout the day. Then you'll come to know that you are connected or not connected. To my mind, loss of rhythm of breath is an indicator of disconnection, and the retaining of breath at the rhythmic level is an indicator of being connected over time. I think that's what I also learned and tried to practice as Indubai explained to me. But this was explained to Indubai by Swami. It was Swami's teaching to Indubai. In fact, it's reflected in his books. I would recommend that all the books that Sridharlal has written, from We Devotees to 16 Spiritual Summers to the Human Workshop that is written, are beautiful books for practical spirituality, because these are thoughts which Indubai has put into paper under the direct instructions of Bhagwan. Here there is no experience, there is no theory, there is no theology, there is no principle, just hardcore practice points which Indubai has mentioned, and I think that's been my Bible which I follow, and I think that makes sense.
So 2 points come out. I think one, the Vice President for Spirituality should take note of. I think to get all of the uncle's books, I probably go through, because a lot of these how factors will be probably in that particular book.
Suresh, you're right. A lot of the how factors that even Brother Jagat mentioned are very much in detail given by Indubai, directly instructed by Bhagwan. I think that's a very important source of information which if you can share, especially with the youth, I think it will be a great advantage to youth.
And to dramatically illustrate the doership, I think Vijay's opening remark in the opening session we had, when the bhajans were going on and suddenly the light went off, when the big discussion in the back was who decorated the stage, I did the altar and I did all that. And then suddenly the bhajans, the lights came back, when the song came, remind me, remind me. So I think there's no better dramatization of what you just said by the opening line. Mr. Nimish, you wanted to hold the mic.
I think Swami was very much a part, and that shows that Swami is being with us and he's ensuring and monitoring that we are learning the right thing at the right time. I think it's being reinforced. No, but it's amazing. I mean, throughout the 3 days, we've really harped upon two major issues of reflection, reaction, resound, whether Sai is a part of us or we are a part of Sai, or whether the voice of... I think these are very important topics, and I think kudos to all of us. If we can carry this message home, I think we've done our job today.
I just wanted to add one point, that to this doership and plugging in and unplugging, what we have to do is, before we venture upon any of our sadhana, we have to offer it to the Lord. The moment you offer it to the Lord, you will find that the ego is automatically getting crushed. This won't happen overnight. It happens only with practice. And especially for the women, I can say that being with children, especially in the EHV classes or the Bal Vikas classes, is an ideal example, because how can you show, there's no display of ego with children. Ego is only with peers or with somebody superior. You want to establish something. But with children, there is no question of ego. So it's a beautiful sadhana that God has made it so simple for the Mahilas that He's given you the ideal place to be with children and not to exhibit your ego.
There's just one more point I'd like to add, and therefore we're trying an experiment in India, especially in some pockets, not throughout India. Is it the entire question of the spiritual ego or the ego which arises when you do service in the Sai organization? My take is that in the Sai organization, you must come with the objective. It must be a sole and principal objective that when we are a part of the Sai organization, how we ensure that our ego is not the paramount and ego can be subdued. Because ego is something that you need to subdue all the time to ensure that it remains under your control. Therefore, I would say that for bhajan singers, for example, I think we should motivate our bhajan singers because for musicians to achieve ego is very easy. It's a part and parcel. It's the two sides of the same coin. Now they must come with an objective that at the end of the bhajan session or during the bhajan session, my goal is not that I'm singing properly or I'm singing to my best ability, but how moment I sing I forget and I don't dwell upon it and I don't think about it and I forget about it as I spoke, forgetting two things. So moment you forget, even for seva activity, I think you may plan a blood donation camp where you're targeting, let's say, 500 bottles of blood. The target is not that you want to collect 500 bottles of blood, but the group of 20 or 30 or 100 who are involved in the project must first sit before the project and say, look, guys, we are going to do this project, but how we can offer this to God is the target. Therefore, the success of the program is not in the 500 bottles, but the success of the program is after the program gets over, when those 50 people sit together, when they make their own analysis as to were we really able to offer to God in the most way, what transformation it brings upon me is the hallmark of the success of that seva activity and not really the physical target of that seva activity is what really I would wish that if this analysis starts, I think that in the manifold geometric transformation in the work that we are trying to do is going to happen. I think that's what it is.
The other thing is that, okay, one, of course, if the devotees are in the center, then probably the transformational opportunities can be given. But the landscapes are also fast changing, and there are more and more tempting distractions that comes along, especially with the sprouting of many different types of organizations and many different types of phenomena that our devotees can also get distracted. Don't you think so?
I think I know what you're indicating, Suresh, because we are living in a time. I think for this, my proposition would be that we have to go back to what Swami stands for. To us, our avatar is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent in the true sense of the three words. It is not a lip service. That means Bhagwan is present in the worst of people we think he is, or in the best of people that he is. In everyone, Bhagwan is present. And for Bhagwan, it is possible to manifest anywhere. In Maharashtra, there is a saint, Namdev, in whose life story, there was a donkey which recited Vedas. And that is the story. So if God can make a donkey recite Vedas, He can do anything. Therefore, the sense of an enlargement of vision, that we must encompass all people into our sort of realm of love and accept everybody is important. For example, we are today in the Sai organization, in the quote-unquote official version of the Sai organization. Now you may find that in Malaysia there is somebody gets up and he says, Swami is speaking to me and therefore I am going to go about and he tells people and does everything. Fine. To negate that situation, I would not agree. Because God can do anything. God can enter anybody, God can make anybody say anything. But the question is, what is our goal? Our goal is to improve ourselves, as Bhagavan has told us, within the parameters of the Sai organization's rule. That is the beauty of the Sai organization. Many other organizations can come, but the Sai organization will always remain the omnibus organization because it takes into fold all organizations which can be created by God at any point of time or human beings at any point of time. Even if there is a absolutely fanatical organization of any religion which is there, but even to love them will be the hallmark of the people who are here because we take that also into us without losing our track. Bhagavan is to always say, keep your focus, keep your track. love everybody, appreciate everybody, but keep your focus and keep your track. And that's where I suggest that all of us members of the SAI organization, who follow the charter of the SAI organization, I think we should keep our focus. Because our focus is not whether a person is good or bad, whether he's divine or not, whether he has powers or not. How does it matter to me if somebody else has powers? I am looking for the time and I have the powers to do what I need to do for my own amelioration and for the amelioration man. Secondly, make an assessment. Suppose there is somebody who's trying to do a hocus pocus and thinks Swami is talking to him, but assess his work. What he's doing is for the benefit of mankind and good things are happening there. Why would I negate it? For example, if suppose Swami is coming in the body of somebody and he creates 100 orphanages and takes care of 100 people, why would I object to it? I should be happy. Congratulations, you're doing a good job. Whatever may be the motivation, the manifestation is the goodness of mankind. And I think that large-heartedness, without losing our own focus, is important. You see, that's why I said, we are not here to become followers. What I like most about Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba is that he taught me that I am not born to be anybody's follower. I am born to realize that I am myself a leader and I am myself a reflection of God. And that is the important point, and that is the source of self-confidence which only the Sathya Sai organization can give you. Every other organization will make you a member, will make you a follower, will make you a part of a herd. But the Sathya Sai organization makes each one of us a master of ourselves and a reflection of divinity. And that is the hallmark of the Sai organization, which I really believe is the same.
And if you have that reflection of divinity, is what Bhagavan wants to expect us, to aspire us to be. How do people work in the offices? Because we find a lot of youth and a lot of youngsters and people also, they work in the office and they really work from morning to late in the evening, come back totally exhausted, not available, completely. No, they are not our youth, I'm talking about generally or elsewhere. So,
clarification welcome.
how do you sustain? Because, for example, you are a successful lawyer. And you have just said there are cases there, and you got so many people working under you, including your, working with you, including your wife. The question now is that with so many things, and you're managing so many centers in India, to manage India and manage Indian centers. Yeah, it can be difficult.
He's right.
Yeah, literally, you're actually Modi for Sathya Sai organization. I mean, in many sense. In many sense.
No.
So the point is, how do you? No, Jaga is the Modi here, but the silent Modi. But the point is, how do you manage that? Because I think this is the secret towards that. You are successfully balancing your life and spiritual demand. How do you get that spiritual endurance, stamina, energy to do it? And not just weekly keep excuse, I cannot come, I got no time. How do you do it?
That's true. Yes. I think the biggest liar on the face of this earth is he who says, I have no time. He is the biggest liar on the face of this earth. To such a person, he needs to go back to kindergarten and understand and recreate his own life before he says, I have no time. Because time has been given to us by God in ample amount. 24 hours of the day is a long enough time to take care of the whole world and yourself and your family. But the point is, the question is of prioritization. Prioritization is a very important part of spiritual sadhana. How much time you allocate for what purpose in your life is a very, very important dimension. So based on the foundation of faith, based upon the foundation that I have immense capacity. People who say I don't have time are people who are very sorry people who don't realize their own potential. That how much strength and how much energy God has given us to work is something which is unbelievable. The human mind has an ample amount of strength and capacity to do so many things. And then supported and energized by the conscience, it is a powerhouse. You can take care of the entire cosmos if you realize the power of both these combinations together. Therefore, I think prioritization of time is very important. Then the second question is what Swami told us about sealing on desires. You see, you spend a lot of time on following and running after desires. Do it, nothing wrong. I always maintain that life is to be enjoyed and if we were born to ensure that we fulfill our desires. We are not born to give up desire. And therefore Swami also is very wise. He never said abandon desire. He says put a ceiling on desire. Therefore, it is very important to put a ceiling on desire. If God was all merciful, He never said give up all desire and walk away. He never said that. Therefore, prioritization, management of thought, breath and time, I think is a very important dimension of Swami's message, which gives you the maneuverability, the time factor to do everything in life. I remember Indubhai saying, for example, meditation. People shun away from meditation. Indubhai's greatest example was that what work a normal chartered accountant would take probably 2 hours to do, because of the power of meditation, Indubhai used to do it in 15 minutes. And I tell you, I also try to succeed in that way in many, many ways. Because intuition gives me more insight into my law than my intellect. You see, that's very important. That comes from the power of silence. That you get to know the essence. In fact, I must share this, a little short story of Swami Vivekananda. You know, Swami Vivekananda was a very knowledgeable person and he had fantastic memory. And I remember when Swamiji was asked once, Swamiji, what would you study if you were given a chance to study again? And Swamiji goes on quote to say that I would not study history, geography, science or mathematics. I would study that art by knowing which all knowledge is mine whenever I want it. And what he meant was that the power within, all knowledge lies inside. And I especially tell this to my young friends and brothers and sisters, that whatever you want to do in life, the source, the energy, the knowledge, the capacity, the potential is all inside. The more you tap it, the more you'll find that it's available to you. And it never fails you. It comes to you at the right time, at the right place. And that is the beauty of this. Therefore, managing a 24-hour lifetime on a day-to-day basis, the first thing is faith in God. Secondly, be conscious of every second, because every second you must enjoy, you must utilize, and you must be very strong in your accounting of what you do every second of your life, and that is most important. And to help you to use every second, you must follow those 2 things. Forget. Don't carry baggage with you all the time. Don't carry things. And third thing, never wait for peer approval. Competition in the world of science is competing with yourself and not with anybody else. It doesn't matter who's doing what. Because Swami always said that it is not important what others think you are. It is not important what you think you are. But you must always focus on what you are. And therefore, even in my profession, I never bothered what other lawyers said about me or what clients said. I would do what I had to do at that point of time. And I think Kamala also was a great inspiration for me, because she's a far better sadhaka than I am. And she was very focused. And I should see her as a partner also. That she's focused. If the time is to be utilized, it will be utilized. The job will be done there and then. Don't procrastinate. Don't delay. Don't postpone things in life. These are the few things which if you do, I think you have ample time. And the first thing, remember, it is your birthright to be happy. And it is your birthright to be at peace. And nobody should be able to disturb this. I always say, to use the commercial banking language, your happiness is your asset. And it is stupidity on our part if we mortgage this happiness to anybody else. I would even say to husband and wife. A husband also should not mortgage his happiness to his wife, and a wife also should not mortgage her happiness to the husband. Because why should I give my happiness to anybody else? It is mine. I was born with it, I want to live with it, and I want to die with it. And nobody on this earth dare disturb my happiness. If this spirit which we live, I think we've done the job, and there is no problem in that at all. And I think this happiness quotient of second to second is the inspiration to work in the office for 6 hours and again go to the center and work for 4 hours and again go in the night and spend 2 hours in meditation, sleep peacefully, get up in the morning, do meditation again and go back to work. And see how much time you have to spare in life. I tell you, amazing. Despite all that I do as the National Vice President, despite all that I do as a lawyer, despite all that I do in my social service, I still have time to go for a holiday with my wife without fail, twice every year.
Fantastic. Now, sister, this comes from Brother Nimish. Now, you see, you got an added responsibility. Not only you got your office to manage, you got your Balvika's children to manage, you have to play a house manage. More importantly, you have to manage Nimish also. So all these things you have to manage. Are the same principles applied in your life as well?
Yeah, here I belong to the obedient wives category. And I re-endorse what Nimish has said, that it is very important that we practice. And practice what? Management of time. For that, the first code of conduct, daily meditation and prayer. I know of Indubhai, as he rightly said, Indubhai, a great chartered accountant. You walk into his office at 2:30 in the afternoon, he's sitting with his eyes closed. And you wonder, what is this? That 2 minutes of silent sitting what he does in the afternoon, he says, gives him such an insight into the problems that other chartered accountants take 3 hours and 4 hours, and he finishes the problem in 15 minutes. So if we recharge our battery constantly, you will find that it is much easier for you to multitask. I mean, the women have the added responsibility of the home also. Running a home, a joint family if you are, then it's your in-laws also. So therefore, if you concentrate on the self, that is silent sitting meditation, you will find a lot of change in your entire being.
Sister, you're giving a breakthrough here because basically you're saying to everybody, it's not the length of time you stay in the office. Some people go there and stay the length and then they have to come back late to demonstrate how busy they are to the bosses. But it is how much, what intensity you could display in your office to become successful. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Can you say it again?
It's important how much you pack into a day. Don't try to think of the number of hours you put in. The amount of work that you can put in as a successful person is important. Don't worry about time. In fact, in Bombay we have the problem of traffic, which you all in KL have. But worse in KL is Bombay. It takes us 2 hours in the morning to reach our office and the court, and it takes 2.5 to 3 hours to come back at night. So imagine that adds on to, you can work as much as possible. Sitting in the car with nothing to do is even worse. So that's the time you have to use talking to God. Use your time very successfully. Spend it and listen to music. Music is also good. Read something. Nowadays everybody has a Kindle with them. You can read that, or you can even just simply close your eyes and talk to God. That's the best way to stay connected.
I have one point to add for the young brothers and sisters is that I was maybe 26 or 27 years old when I went to Bhagwan, and Bhagwan told me one thing. He says, Swami asked me to do something, and Swami, I'll try. He got so angry at me when I said the word, I'll try. He says, try, becomes try, do right now. You know, that is the intensity with which Swami wanted us to do things immediately. But the problem at young age, between the age of 17 and 25, 30 is that there are phases of lethargy and there are phases of system where you just don't want to do anything. That's the phase that we need to control. That's the phase that we need to be aware of and ensure that God wants transformation immediately. He was so desperately in love with all of us. I remember once in Puttaparthi, he said, why do meditation for 3 minutes? You do it only for 11 seconds and I'll give you moksha right now. In 11 seconds I'll give you right now. That's a part of a recorded discourse of Bhagwan where he was so full of love. He said, you do it, I'll give you right now.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
It means that God is waiting to walk 100 steps towards us and give us everything that He wants to give us. He just wants us to make that one step forward toward Him. Okay. You see, as Jaga was mentioning that day, He's waiting for us to turn our hearts to Him. The moment you turn to Him, even before you turn to Him, He is ready to pounce on us and engulf us with His love. But the question is, we're not taking the first step itself of determining that we want to do it.
He clarified that as well because Baba said when you gave a EHP, he gave a EHP discourse after 6 months of the mess up that your organization did, and then he gave your discourse and he said, you all got it wrong. He said, it's not about that, it's about love, it is Him that is coming out, and basically then at the end of the day is that He wants everyone to get connected to Himself, is it not? Isn't that what it is? So it's not about activity. The activity is the means to get connectivity. Center is to get a connectivity. Everything is about, once you get connectivity, there will be unity. Then you can see the diversity. Is that what the whole thing is?
You're absolutely correct. I think that is, the rhyme was perfect and it was to the T, as they say in the English language. It was to the T. I think that was perfect. And I think that's, if we keep that consciousness, I think we are on the safe path.
One more point that you mentioned actually, Swami's thing is basically trying to make everybody like a CIA agent. The moment love comes out, God comes out, CIA, which means to say, A, you get connectivity. You see everything connected. Then your potentials becomes high, which is infinity. Then you get incredible love surging, which is affinity. So connectivity, infinity, affinity is real spirituality.
Absolutely. I think we'll name your president Suresh T.
How do you manage conflicts? For example, I'm sure in your centers, and I know there will be conflicts, there will be issues, you know. So what is it that you do in order to manage that conflict? Because this is a lesson to all the other people when we get problems. How do you manage? It's not managing the problem, isn't it? It's more managing yourself. How do you do that?
Yeah, I tell you, as Kamala mentioned, I was a victim of a very major conflict in India, which, being sensitive, I took it upon myself and suffered because of that. But I think the lesson that I learned about it is conflicts are a reason because there is lack of love. Somewhere somebody has not been able to give that person enough love, and that manifests in the conflict. For example, if Kamala and I are part of the organization, and if Kamala makes a point and I disagree with her, the tendency would be that I would snub her and I say, "You're nothing doing, you're wrong. Keep quiet, you're not correct. What I'm saying is correct." Now this is not a good situation in the SAI organization. The SAI organization members and especially office bearers have to exhibit a tremendous amount of patience, ability to listen. Very important. You see, you may not do what the other guy is saying, but the ability to listen and give him a patient hearing is a 90% problem solved. Because a man may be willing to accept the fact that you heard him very nicely, but maybe have not accepted the point, but at least you have heard him. 90% of problems arise because we don't hear people and we snub them and nip them in the bud. So then that man makes it a mission of his life to ensure that he harasses you for the rest of your life. You see? Now, this is because they can't forget. I told you, it boils down back to the forget situation. Therefore, the hallmark of an interactivity of the SAI center, as I would say, is patience. The conviction that I have to be patient, calm, listen, and then take the collective right decision. You see, that's why Swami put us together. Otherwise, you could have lived alone in your own caves and gone and done what you want. When do we learn? We learn when we come together. It's only when we come together there will be differences of opinion, there will be different points of view, and then the challenge is that in your office, if you're the boss, you can snub him and threaten him and throw him out. But in the SAI organization, you're not supposed to do that. In the SAI organization, even a most idiotic person has to be respected as if he's the most knowledgeable person, and give him that love and affection and hear him out. Now, whether we have that patience to do or not, we don't know. But remember, we draw inspiration from Bhagwan himself. A multi-millionaire industrialist goes to Bhagwan, a small rickshaw puller or a hawker goes to Bhagwan. But when Bhagwan stops to listen, Bhagwan listens, and then smiles. Not necessarily Bhagwan does what you want, but he listens to you, he smiles at you, he puts his arm on your shoulder, he puts his hand on your head, and gives you that vibration of love for you to understand. I think using love is the biggest challenge in the SAI organization. You see, as I mentioned in my talk in the first day, the world outside does not believe that human beings can love. And it is a SAI organization that we must prove to the world that love works. And therefore, I think I was talking to Kamala the other day, that when I met Dr. Jumsai in Puttaparthi last week, I told him, I said, "Dr. Jumsai, I'm not interested that you're a great scientist. I'm not interested what happened to you in your past, in your childhood. But what I love most and what you're doing is, your experiment in your school, that without discipline, with only love, a school can work, is the experiment which I am most interested in, because that's where the salvation of mankind lies, to prove to the world that love can ameliorate, love can break. That is the experiment. And therefore, in the SAI organization, we must make it a point. Be conscious, forget your ego, forget your differences. Understand each other with love. Try to give love and see how it works. And that is a seed that we want to sow in the SAI organization. With this, I don't think, in the face of love, all conflict will vanish. Because conflict cannot exist in the face of love, is what I really believe in this relation. And it works. And when I landed in a conflict with my colleague in the SAI organization in India, he was very powerful in the sense that he was very close to Bhagwan. He was very close to Dubai. And so was I. So it's like two Shishyas very close to a guru and both not seeing eye to eye on a situation. Now he was a very conservative chap, I was a very outgoing and a different kind, and he wanted everything traditional. I wanted to be a little out of the box and see that we do things in a larger scale. Now see, he was right in his own way, I was right in my own way, but the mistake that both of us did was that we didn't appreciate. And what happened? I was graceful enough to get cured by only a disease that affected me. All my fault, not that man's fault. And poor chap, he had to go through a very bad time in his life. In future, he passed away recently, a few years ago. But I feel bad that why did two intelligent people, two devoted people to Bhagwan could not resolve this. And that's a strong lesson that I have learned in my life. Never fight with anybody. Never argue them. Stay away from the negativity. Walk away from that place. Leave it to God. Because ultimately, God is the doer, not the office bearer of the Sai organization. Is not the doer. And I think this fact must be understood.
I'll just add this one line. Whenever you are in a conflict, do not react. Respond only after a pause. Very simple. Remember the traffic signal. When you have a traffic signal, it goes red. Red is your conflict. Don't go to green immediately. Does the light go to green immediately? No. What does it go to? Amber. That amber is the pausing period. That amber is surrendering to the amber in your life, the orange gown in your life. And that is none other than Bhagwan. So whenever you are in a problem, do not react. Pause. It's like a three-edged tree. Before the hand can act, when the thoughts appear in the head, take the approval of the heart. If the heart says yes, act. If the heart says no, withdraw. As simple as that. The heart is the pausing phase in your life. Don't be impulsive. Impulsive is okay for children. But we adults, we as youth, have to learn to pause in life. And that's why the main conflict that we husband and wife have is that don't react, I tell him. I always tell him, don't comment immediately. Everybody is right in their own way. Pause, listen, and be aware that everybody has a way of life. And that is his way of life. So who are we to tell them anything? And therefore, pausing, P-A-U-S-E, must be a way of your life.
I think one more point is that for the office bearers of the organization, from personal experience I'd like to share is that there is a, I'm sure there is this story must be in Malaysia also. In India we have a story, there's the bullock cart which is going and there is a cat which is walking below the bullock cart. And the cat sincerely believes that the bullock cart is moving because she or the little cat is moving below the bullock cart. It sincerely believes that the bullock cart is moving because the cat is moving below. I think you will understand the omnibus is Sai who's moving. And office bearers of the Sai organization should not believe that they are cats who believe that the organization and the amelioration and the welfare of the world under the banner of Satya Sai is their responsibility and it is our job to cure the whole world is not the situation at all. I think if that humility comes on the Sai office bearers, I think we've done our job to become good examples to people.
The thing is one thing, God's grace is that in Malaysia, we really, the conflicts or whatever it is such a minimal level, sub-luminal level in fact, and our leaders are really good. And the analogy of the cat is a good example. Our leaders are also like cat. We always take the cat out of the bag. And basically, cat is they have clarity, accountability, and transparency. All three are there also.
Again the team, the cat.
So this same principle can also be applied at home, isn't it? Because you know why? Devotees to come out from their home and to serve, they must be happy. So wouldn't you say the same principles apply at home as well?
The community sadhana is an extension of the home. If you are not at peace at home, if there's conflict at home, then you can't do any sadhana in society. So you have to start with the home. And Bhagwan is very particular about the home. In fact, he comments every time when the husband and wife work as a team. I remember in many of the Ashari dramas from Maharashtra, Indubai would go and tell Swami, you know, Nimish Pandya did it, Nimish Pandya did it. And Swami in his infinite glory and bliss would say, no, husband and wife both work together. Dono saath mein kaam kiya. Means both of them work together. I like it like that. So God likes it when the family moves as a unit even in the organization. So therefore, don't make your family unhappy and go out. It is necessary that both the wheels of the cart move together. Otherwise, then you are not doing complete sadhana. It is necessary, therefore, that the husband and wife, the brother and sister, the entire family moves as a unit. And that's one thing I noticed in Malaysia. It's the whole family coming together. I saw the lady girl who spoke as an MC, the boy who acted, the father who conducted the workshop. I didn't see the mother, but I suppose she must be playing another role in helping all these three to settle. So it's good that all of you are working as one unit. In that way, I saw many families coming together as a unified whole. That's what Swami.
Very good.
So now we have repaired the self at a great level. We managed to repair the home. And we got the centers also repaired. In my mind, because we have talked about a principle of conflict, how centers can be united, which we've seen that if there are conflicts in the center or center within a center, they have conflict. Something is not right with your own individual self. Your own individual personal sadhanas are compromised, and that is why a certain religion has got a lot of conflicts. Would you not say that in a scientific manner?
I think we're coming back to the reflection-reaction design. The problem manifesting in front of us is somewhere which we are responsible for it. And I think the first correction must happen with us. And then automatically I think the solution will unfold. I think it's correct. I think that's the correct point to put.
And therefore now we have the courage now to go to the national levels and international levels. You see, at the end of the day, Swami, whatever said and done, although he gave the spiritual sadhana and everything else, he became very relevant. Relevant to the social need, relevant to the educational needs, relevant to health care. What is spirituality if you are not significantly relevant to circumstances? What is that approach in terms of spirituality?
I think so, because I think the basic three things which Bhagavan created the organization for, as we tried to discuss the other day, is first of all that there is a divine power. That divine power is inside you. But the society is very important because the same divine power is manifesting in society. And there is no salvation. Bhagavan used to say, you can't be selfish to have your own salvation. You must achieve your salvation collectively with the salvation of everybody else. And that's where the dimension of service comes to it. Where everything that we do in society, it should be done with the objective that we are doing it to our own self, because it is our own reflection in society. Therefore, spirituality, as I read the other day in the Radio Sai blog, which I was reading, it says all education ultimately merges into spiritual education. All service ultimately merges into Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. I think the very fact that every bhajan center we sing Loka Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu, that's a reality. That's the way of life. And that is the goal of life to be fulfilled. That through us, we should always be a part of contributing to the welfare of the entire world, whether it is the flora, the fauna, the mankind, whichever kingdom it is. I think contribution to every dimension of cosmos is a part of our duty. Yeah. Therefore, our organization is doing a great job.
I think also one more point is that at the international front, though in the world organization, India is not there.
We don't belong to the world.
But I don't think so that's the answer. I think because we are in the world and India is really not the world, India actually is the universe. The real reason is because everything can happen in India, and Swami has said that one day India will lead the whole world. So I'm just seriously at this point of time, of course, we are not in the process of collaboration, but I sincerely hope that India will evolve to a point, not evolve, I think the organization will evolve to a point where there will be more India-Malaysia collaboration, and I think there's a lot of things to that, because the statistics that you showed yesterday is phenomenal. It's not, that kind of statistics is nowhere in any part of the world today. So I think these are the lessons that you can learn. The other point is, brother, this is the point. You see, you told us the other day, and this is something that I want you to share with the rest. You mentioned that 70% of your Bal Vikas children come back as guru.
Yes.
Okay. This is, I think, a biggest breakthrough ever in the world. There's no other statistics like this of this nature anywhere we've seen. What is the secret?
I think the most encouraging part is that all our girls who pass out from the Bal Vikas classes, 70% of them, after finishing their education, they come back and become Bal Vikas gurus. I think that is a great sort of source of things. because they are the best, they are the most qualified people to take a Bal Vikas class. I think even in our class which Kamala takes at home, we have 2-3 girls who have been 4 Bal Vikas ex-students who are now assistant gurus to Kamala in the class that we conduct, and they are fantastic, they are super, they are better than my wife also.
Wow. I think our brother Nakiran and our education team, I seriously feel this is the area in which we really want to make a big breakthrough, because we don't seem to get a looping mechanism. I think they must be teaching somewhere, they must be somewhere, but they don't really sort of like get back into it in such great manner as how you do it.
I think the credit goes to the gurus, Suresh, because what I've experienced in India, and I'm sure all my sisters know about that, is that the bonding between the guru and the child is so strong that it doesn't end with the end of the Bal Vikas class. You see, it continues for a lifetime. It continues for a lifelong situation. And therefore, if the guru takes the effort of keeping in touch with the child, even if he or she has passed out, that is the greatest source by which you can hold them. You see, I hear a lot of theories about why there are dropouts and all those things. But I believe that wherever the guru is, a strong guru has established a very strong bond of love, there will never be a dropout. I don't believe that. The dropout will be only when the guru has not been able to rise to that situation and establish a bond over the 9 years with the child. Then the child has a dichotomy of getting distracted. But the guru is a strong guru. Then, like example, like my brother, I will give you 2 examples. One is just yesterday your own boy, a singer who was singing yesterday. What's his name? Chusan. You see, when he was talking about his guru who taught him this Karnataka music, the amount of love, passion, respect and amount of reverence that he had for the guru, that is the quality and the hallmark of a relationship between the guru and the child. And if that comes, I don't think there is no question of Chusan ever dropping out of this whole system of Carnatic music. There is no question of his dropping out. He'll never say, I'm going to become a politician. No, he will stick to it. And every time that he begins his program, he's going to say hello to his teacher and say, okay, bless me and let me do this problem. It's very important. Let me give another example. I'm giving an example of one of the child who had passed away many years ago from Kamala's class. And he was very close to us, very close. Then he became married, went away to Dubai and established a very famous business in Dubai. But suddenly one day he writes to auntie and says, I went on WhatsApp to trace where Kamala auntie was, and he wrote to Kamala auntie. He found me. Ultimately the point which I am trying to make is that he wrote to Kamala auntie that, auntie, I have not spoken to you for a long time, but one thing which I have done throughout my life after marriage until today is that every day I do not forget to do my Narayan Seva and do my service project without fail for all these years that has happened, and I always remember you and do that service project. Now it's far away in Dubai somewhere, but that one thing which is stuck. And now he made the attempt to come back to auntie and trace auntie where auntie is and to be in touch with her. So I think this is the bond. If the Bal Vikas gurus, you're doing a fantastic job. But if you keep the bar as high as establishing a personal, tremendous bond and a friendship bond, then you won't have any problem of dropouts in Bal Vikas. Because the kid who comes to you from the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as he grows with you, the bond with you must be so strong that not even God can break that bond between you and your child. I think that's the kind of intensity with which we need to work. Probably doing a good job, a more intensity for all the gurus in the world. Now, I'm sure Malaysia is doing a fantastic job. This is what I see from the young people. You've already done a very credible job. But I think to raise our bar for ourselves, I think this kind of intensity between the guru and children relationship is very, very important. I remember, let me share with you another story also, that what each child that you're creating is not dropping off. You see, we have stories of children who have so-called dropped off after 6 years, 7 years, but what you've done for those 6, 7 years also continues with them. That's a great investment we made, so we need not worry about it, that we have wasted time or something of that sort. I was going to tell Maya to do that.
Very good. Thank you so much. You will agree, in the last 1 hour, we have learned so much about ourselves. We learned that in order to guard our anger, where it is an expression of ego, should focus back on the breathing. We learn that everything that you do in this life, make an offering. We learn that prayer is not chanting and prayers, but prayers are just mere talking to God. And you just talk as plainly as you can so that the connectivity can be there. We learn that you must take this connectivity to the working place and work intensively and not extensively. That's how many people perceive working life to be. If you are excellent, then you should be working with so much effort that you can do so much in a short time. This goes to studies. This goes how you manage your home. And in this way, you can save time and dedicate towards God. We learn how conflicts should be managed so well in the centers, and conflicts are only a reflection of your own self. And therefore, when you are more and more harmonious, those conflicts can be overcome. We learn that those harmony at home is a very critical element, so that people who are happy can go out and work in life. And therefore, we must become we must become a consequence at the national front, just as how Bhagwan Baba became spiritually relevant to the whole world, and how we internationally must be getting connected so that more and more work can be done. In this nutshell, we swam in this ocean for the last 1 hour with two people who had the pleasure of milking all the knowledge, and I'm sure that many of you had many of these questions, and I'm hoping that the answers satisfy many of your yearnings and anguish that you possibly might have. With the usual way, we can only thank by putting two hands together. We thank Mr. Kamala.
Kamala and I must take this opportunity, because I won't get it again, to thank Brother Jaga and Sister Lalita for being such fantastic friends with both of us. Jaga and Lalita, we have learned a lot from you. We've been enthused from you for a long time. I thank the Central Council of Malaysia for all the members for having had us here and invited us for this convention. We've learned a lot. We've carried back a lot of stuff back at home. And to Brother Suresh T, I owe all my gratitude for all the love and affection that he showered on me. And I hope and I promise him that the backdoor diplomacy of getting India and the world together is already in its place. And I think Brother Jaga being a part of the political system in Malaysia, we are depending on him on the backdoor diplomacy of ensuring that India merges with the whole world, so to say, and I'm sure he'll do a good job. And Sister Saras, I think you've been also a part of our life. We've been in awe of you all the time with your dedication with which Bal Vikas in Malaysia has grown, and you've learned so much right from the beginning. I think, and all of you, thank you very much for having us here. We love it. We love you. Thank you.